Dandy's world will eventually come to an end, maybe in a few months, maybe in a few years. It'll become nothing more than a distant memory, just like so many games before it. Games like Among Us, Piggy, and countless others slowly faded away as people moved on to new worlds and new characters. But what would happen to the toons if they were completely forgotten? In this tape, we'll be taking a look at the fate of every toon through an alternate universe known as CRUMBLED TOONS, created by KekBatik and shared on TikTok, where we'll discover what these characters might look like after being abandoned for countless years. So, let's begin. Sprout. Sprout's fate is actually very similar to the one seen in several other alternate universes. Since he's made of fruit, his body eventually began to rot. His skin has faded from decay, while mold has spread across his face and one of his legs. One of his arms and one of his eyes have fallen off completely, and small holes now cover his body where worms have burrowed inside. Flies constantly surround him, feeding on what's left. Somehow he still seems to be alive, or at least something close to it. Shelly. After spending years trapped beneath the ruin of what was once Garden View, Shelly's body has completely fossilized. Now she's nothing more than a pile of ancient bones, the last remains of the person she used to be. At the very least, she finally became something she would have truly loved. Pebble. As time passed, something or someone completely crushed Pebble. Now all that's left are a few scattered rocks, dust and ichor spread across the ground. What happened to you, buddy? V. V is now nothing more than an old machine that's been left behind. Her arms, head, and microphone have all been destroyed. Loose wires spill from inside her body, while her cracked screen barely shows what's left of one eye. Thick cobwebs cover her antennas, making it clear she's been trapped in this state for a very long time. Even though she still appears to be conscious, there's almost nothing she can do anymore. Astro. As the years went by, Astro began suffering from a mysterious phenomenon known as celestial collision. At some point, another astronomical object appears to have crashed directly into his body, completely altering his composition. Since then, his body has transformed into a blazing mass of energy that radiates unbearable heat. The temperature became so extreme that his clothes were burned away entirely, while enormous amounts of energy continuously burst from his body without control. But that energy isn't limitless. Little by little, it feeds on Astro himself, slowly consuming what's left of him, until one day, nothing remains but dust. Dandy. As time went on, Dandy was seen less and less, until eventually nobody knew where he had gone. Something or someone may have taken him away, or perhaps he simply chose to leave Garden View behind, abandoning every other toon along with it. Dial. During one of his usual train rides, Dial was caught in a devastating derailment. No one knows whether the accident happened because of poor maintenance, or if it was deliberately caused. The only thing that's certain is that Dial's body ended up trapped beneath the wreckage of one of the train cars. Rudy. After being abandoned, Rudy eventually became nothing more than a hunting trophy mounted on a wall. He may have tried escaping Garden View and surviving out in the wild. Perhaps he even attempted to blend in with other reindeer, but his brightly colored antlers made him impossible to mistake, and far more valuable to hunters. Coal. Being made of coal, it was only a matter of time before coal caught fire. Maybe it started with nothing more than a single spark, but once the flames began, there was no stopping them. You can barely make out the silhouette of her flag as it's slowly consumed by the blaze that now burns from within her. And when those flames finally die out, her life may fade away with them. Bobette. It seems the joy and warmth of Christmas finally faded away for Bobette. At some point, she made one of the hardest decisions imaginable. Ironically, she ended up becoming nothing more than another ornament hanging from a Christmas tree. How heartbreaking. Ginger. It's possible Ginger was caught in the very same accident that set coal ablaze. By now, she's been baked far beyond recognition. Every detail of her appearance, even her clothes, has disappeared beneath the intense heat. All that's left is a giant burnt cookie, slowly crumbling apart piece by piece. Flight. Just like Rudy, Flight may have tried escaping Garden View, but compared to every other creature out there, he looked far more unusual to go unnoticed. Now he's become part of the specimen collection, his body pinned in place by countless needles, leaving him permanently immobilized. Coco. Like many of the others, Coco became another victim of extreme heat. Being made of chocolate, her body slowly melted away, But unfortunately for her, she never died. She's still alive, only now she's unable to move, unable to speak, condemned to do nothing but watch as what's left of her slowly disappears. Eggson. Just like Dandy, Eggson has vanished. No one knows where he is or even if he's still alive. There seems to be a radio that can be used to contact him, but no matter how many times someone calls, there's never any reply. Bassie. The flowers growing from Bassie's head never stopped growing. Eventually, one of them became so large that its roots pierced through her body and even reached her mind. You could say she's technically still alive, but whatever she is now, she no longer seems to be herself. Eclipse. Eclipse is one of the few cases where it's almost impossible to tell what actually happened. She's perched high in a tree, her body badly damaged, with pieces of it slowly falling away. Everything around her is stained with ichor. What could have possibly happened to her? Solvester. Someone turned Solvester's own sword against him. His armor has been heavily damaged, and aside from that, there's almost nothing left to tell us what happened. Rebecca. Rebecca has been reduced to nothing more than a pile of bone dust. There's nothing to suggest who or what could have done this to her. Just like the other Halloween event toons, her fate remains a complete mystery. Gordy. The last member of the Halloween group finally seems to have lost his mind. As Gardenview slowly crumbled into nothing but ruins, the fading memories of his parents may have become stronger and stronger. It's possible that Gordy is still alive, but only as someone consumed by constant paranoia. Could Gordy be responsible for what happened to his friends? Shrimpo. Now, he's nothing more than a fried shrimp. Many of the toons seem to have been affected by something incredibly hot. Astro's current condition may very well be the cause. Those who stayed closest to him or tried to help him quickly came to regret it. Cosmo. Cosmo's condition is very similar to Sprout's. His body has begun to decay, slowly poisoning itself because of the spoiled dough that makes up his body. With each passing day, he coughs up more and more ichor. Poppy. Poppy's body simply couldn't handle what had become of Gardenview or of her friends. The overwhelming stress and anxiety eventually caused her bubble body to burst. Now, all that's left behind are the clothes she once wore. Boxton. If Boxton already struggled to fall asleep before, things have only gotten worse. He's now trapped in a permanent state of insomnia, haunted by the nightmares that flood his mind every time he closes his eyes. The constant exhaustion eventually drove him into hallucinations and delirium, until one day he ripped out his own wind-up key after realizing that the melodies inside his head could no longer bring him peace. Yada. Yada ended up being used as nothing more than an ordinary piñata, hung from a rope and beaten over and over again. Her body was eventually shattered into pieces, only, instead of candy spilling out, it's ichor that scattered among the remains. Louis. Louis's body has completely deflated. He's still alive, but simply standing has become an incredible struggle. If he gathered every ounce of strength he has left, he might be able to take a few steps. But the effort hardly seems worth the little distance he'd gain. Little by little, he's accepted his fate, remaining completely still as he watches time pass by, waiting for someone or something to finally change his destiny. Tisha. Now that Gardenview has become nothing but rubble and dirt, Tisha can no longer keep everything clean. She can't even keep herself clean anymore. That helplessness has driven her into a state of psychosis and depression. Unlike many of the other toons, she doesn't seem to have suffered much physical damage, but mentally she's completely broken. She can barely bring herself to move or even think about anything else. Brusha. Just like Dandy and Eggson, Brusha has disappeared. Before vanishing, however, she left behind a self-portrait depicting her deteriorating mental state and gradual descent into madness. The countless eyes surrounding her seem to represent the overwhelming feeling of constantly being watched, while the paint dripping across her face reveals how, little by little, she completely lost control of herself. Without a doubt, every single toon meets a tragic end after being completely abandoned. How do you think you would end up if you were left in a situation like this? Personally, I think I'd have to...